was supposed to be another normal mystery to solve, but that's not how it turned out. The mystery gang was driving down a secluded highway when Shaggy said that he needed some food, and Scooby agreed. Fred, Daphne, and Velma smiled in unison, saying that they had just finished eating. Everyone laughed. It was the good times like this that brought the five together as friends and made them feel like a family. While laughing, the mystery machine came to a sudden halt when someone jumped in front of the road, begging them to stop. Fred slammed on the brakes and asked if everyone was okay, and they all nodded. It was a man, and he ran to the window, and as Fred rolled it down, he said they needed to leave as it was coming for him. Fred asked what it was, and the man told them the monster of the mansion. They all smiled, and Fred said, "Well, gang, looks like we got another mystery in our hands." The man was perplexed, and Velma told him they could help him out. He was a bit weirded out, but he felt at ease when the mystery gang said they would help him. Fred said to hop in the back with Shaggy and Scooby, and he piled in the back, and they drove to a local diner to figure out the next move. At the diner, the man introduced himself as Sam, and Fred introduced himself and the rest of them, and that's when Sam told them about the legend of the monster of the mansion. It was a mansion near the diner, and what sat a bit in the forest with a path leading to it from the road. Ever since the mansion had been built, there was a monster that inhabited it, that killed anyone who dared to live, stay, or go there. The gang was interested and figured that someone must be keeping people away from the mansion in order to accomplish some type of goal. What that was and who it was something they needed to find out. Sam told them they'd be crazy to go up there and that they needed to leave town as soon as possible. That was his plan, and he didn't want to end up 6 feet under. He gave them the location and the history, but he sure as shit wasn't going there himself. He told the gang that, and they understood. The 5 of them said their goodbyes to Sam, but as they were about to drive off in the mystery machine and Sam was about to leave, time stopped for him. He looked around confused. "You thought you could escape me, boy? No. Your death is already set in stone." The monster of the mansion spoke. It's you? You're the monster?" Sam spoke in fear. But before he could utter another word, Sam was shredded limb from limb, all while screaming in agony. Time resumed, and all that was left of Sam was a bloody pile of flesh, and the monster of the mansion made its way back to the mystery machine. Scooby-Doo had finished that small annoyance and smiled as the mystery machine drove off, not realizing what had happened to Sam, or so Scooby thought. Little did the monster know that someone had witnessed the entire event unfold. It wasn't just a someone. It was a god that had watched what happened. Shaggy grimaced in the back of the mystery machine, but didn't show any emotion. He had been around for eons and came to this planet and watched life develop. As time passed, he found himself acclimating to human life, and he lived numerous lifetimes in the blink of an eye. But this life was different. He had found friends. No, he had found family. He thought he had found a best friend in the dog Scooby-Doo, but he would come to learn that the thing known as Scooby-Doo was an abomination the universe had created who knows how long ago, and the destination they were driving to would be the final one. Shaggy was going to confront the beasts known as Scooby-Doo, these 2 ancient entities in the back, and Fred, Daphne, and Velma up front had no idea. They thought they were just their goofy friends. The mystery gang finally arrived at the mansion, and they looked at the old decrepit building. They all got out and walked inside, and when they reached a flight of stairs, everything would change. "If you're looking for the monster of the mansion, I'm right here," Scooby spoke. Fred, Daphne, and Velma looked confused, and Fred asked, "Scoop, what are you talking about?" The Great Dane responded, "I killed that pitiful little life form known as Sam, and now I'm about to kill you too." The 3 looked shocked and didn't know how to respond. Scooby, quit joking around," Velma said in a frightened tone. But before Shaggy could react, Scooby had ripped the throat out of Daphne. Fred and Velma looked down and screamed as they saw her corpse, and with quick haste, Scooby finished off Fred and Velma, and he licked the blood and guts off his mouth. Tasty, he thought. Scooby turned to Shaggy, who stared with an emotionless face. "Sorry, Shaggy. Time to die," Scooby told him. "So you finally decided to reveal yourself, monster," Shaggy spoke. Scooby was a bit taken aback. Did he know what he was? "I do know what you are. I've always known. You're an amalgamation that the universe created, an abomination that only spreads death and destruction. And your time has come to an end," Shaggy told the dog. Scooby responded, "I always knew there was something off about you, but I never thought you were an ancient being like me." Shaggy spoke back, "You're right, I was created at the beginning, a life form from the creation of the Big Bang." Scooby continued, and you should know that beings like us are above these worthless and insignificant life forms. They're like bacteria to us. Join me and we can rid the universe of every worthless life form. Join me, my friend. No, my brother. Shaggy looked up at the ceiling and a tear shed down his face. His new family was dead, and his best friend, who he knew was a monster, was asking him to join him. He was almost tempted, but he kept his composure and responded, "I can't do that, Scooby. I've come to care for the humans, and I won't let you kill them." Scooby laughed. "Then you can die with them." The Great Dane stood on his hind legs in an upright position and disappeared from view. He had stopped time and appeared behind Shaggy, but Shaggy unleashed his power in a great aura and reacted to Scooby punching him in the face, which caused an impact so strong it destroyed the mansion and everything in a 10-mile radius, and sent Scooby flying into space. The Great Dane smashed into the moon and regained his bearings. Powerful, he thought, as Shaggy appeared right behind him. Scooby used his tail and hit Shaggy directly, but he was able to block it, but it sent him hurtling through the center of the moon, towards the other side, on the dark side of the moon. Shaggy shook it off and saw Scooby teleport in front of him, trying to bite his head off. He leaned to the left and uppercutted Scooby and sent him off into the moon's orbit, and Shaggy launched off the moon, creating a massive crater half the size of it, and raced towards Scooby. The dog was hurtling in the dark vacuum, and before he could regain composure, he saw Shaggy coming towards him, but as Shaggy got closer towards Scooby, he unleashed a blast from his mouth that hit Shaggy dead center, and sent him hurtling towards Mars. Shaggy crash-landed on the red planet, causing an impact so great it destroyed 3/4 of the entire rock. Shaggy looked up and saw Scooby in front of him, and he unleashed another beam from his mouth, which destroyed Mars and sent Shaggy in the direction of Jupiter. Scooby upped the power on the beam, and Shaggy felt the full brunt and was sent flying at faster than light speeds through space, and the energy from this destroyed each and every gas giant in the solar system. Shaggy crashed onto Pluto, destroying the rock, but leaving just enough for a battlefield to be created. Scooby was in front of Shaggy once more and picked him up with his tail by the throat and raced towards the sun. Shaggy was launched into the center of the star, as while he was flying, he watched Scooby destroy Earth and all of the remaining planets. He couldn't react though, as he landed inside the core of the sun. He was able to withstand the massive energy from the star, and Shaggy was angered. The beings that he had grown to care about were gone. It was time to stop playing games. He was going to end Scooby-Doo. The Great Dane thought his work was done, but when he saw the sun being engulfed into a tiny ball in the Shaggy's hand and dissipated like it was nothing, the ancient monster was a bit surprised. No more fun and games, Shaggy thought, and unleashed more of his power and rocketed towards Scooby, punching him in the face and launching him at incalculable speeds across the cosmos. Scooby looked out and saw that the force from the attack had destroyed clusters of galaxies. Scooby crash-landed on some unknown planet and looked up to see Shaggy in front of him. Scooby knew what this meant and unleashed all of his power to fight the angry god. The ancient monster and god then collided with fist upon fist and block upon block. Their fight was destroying everything in sight. They continued to clash for eons, their fight echoing throughout the universe. Both at full power, or so Scooby thought. Shaggy stopped and said it was time to put an end to this game, and he told Scooby that that was merely a fraction of his power. He began powering up with no end in sight, and the very universe began to shake. Reality was being torn apart from the sheer power of Shaggy. Scooby felt something he had not encountered in his eons of existence, a dread he felt in the pit of his very being. He felt fear. He was scared of Shaggy. The dog didn't want to accept that fact, and so he went further and beyond and reached past his limits and unleashed a beam from his mouth that would tear apart the universe. Scooby laughed, thinking this would end the god. But he was wrong, as Shaggy simply absorbed it and appeared in front of Scooby, and unleashed his own beam of energy back into him, which sent Scooby flying into the corners of existence, and further beyond into the unknown. And Shaggy was right there with him. Scooby tried to struggle, but he could do nothing, as the power of his own attack finally put an end to the monster the universe had created. Shaggy watched as the beast died, but he shed a tear because he thought, even though it was an evil abomination that needed to die, Scooby was still his dog and his best friend. And with that, for the first time in billions of years, the universe was silent. Their fight was over. But what was the point of all this power and being a god if Shaggy would be alone? And so, the lonely god would float across the vastness of space, all alone for the rest of eternity.